Hi folks, and welcome back to The Radical Moderator. Today what we're going to do is we're going to break down the Democratic Party platform. So what do the Democrats stand for? What policies do they prioritize in? And what issues matter most to people who vote Democratic? Now, if you've been curious about some of these questions, you're in the right place. So let's dive right in. First, what is the Democratic Party platform? In a nutshell, what it is it's a set of core principles and policies that reflect the values of the Democratic Party. According to the Democrats, these set of priorities promote social equality, economic fairness, as well as government intervention, all left-leaning values that I mentioned in the previous video, and they do these things with the main objective of improving the well-being of all Americans. Again, the term all Americans here is what the Democrats use, and it's their claim. As we know, every policy position has a set of winners and losers, and it's basically a set of trade-offs, according to Sowell, and the ultimate policy question should always clarify the following three economic questions. Number one, what are the costs? Number two, who benefits? And number three, what's the evidence? Now, I will say it once over here because either political platform, and now we're talking about the Democrats, later on we're going to be talking about the Republicans, invariably make claims of certainty, but these claims are really simply aspirations, if you will, all just a set of theories, if not mere hypotheses. Whether the objectives necessarily follow in the long run after we apply them in a practical sense is not always clear. And this is really what fuels controversy and debate in all of politics. Just wanted to say that at the beginning, for the record, because talking about each party's platform claims, basically, there is plenty of platitudes on both sides of the aisle. Anyway, the Democratic Party claims that by using the government, they can create a fairer, more inclusive society. So with that as a priori assumption, let's break down some of the key issues in their platform. I've summarized these Democratic Party platform topics under 6 main categories, and we'll probably come back to discuss some of these topics in more detail in some future videos. Number 1, economic fairness. First up, economic fairness, and this is really a big one for the Democrats. As you can imagine, they believe that the economy should work for everyone, not just the wealthy. This means raising the minimum wage, for example, for the entry-level position employees who work full-time so that they can support themselves and their families. Many Democrats, in fact, support raising the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour, effectively doubling it from what it is currently right now. This clearly benefits low-skilled workers at the expense of large and small businesses. But other side argues that this can raise the price of goods and services proportionally, and the businesses are going to have to pass on the higher payroll costs to their consumers. In addition to that, Democrats also advocate for progressive taxation. This means that those who earn more, particularly the wealthy and the corporations, should pay a higher percentage of their income in taxes. The idea is to create what Democrats believe to be a fair system where the wealthy contribute their share, they call it their fair share, helping to fund programs that benefit everyone, such as healthcare, education, and infrastructure. Again, this is a great idea. In the era of globalization, however, can companies potentially pick up and just relocate to places where they pay lower taxes? We've seen that already happen in net business migration between states in the same country, but can it also happen now at the national level in the era of globalization and multinational corporation? I don't know. Number 2, healthcare for all Americans. Speaking of healthcare, this is really another cornerstone of the Democratic platform. Democrats believe that healthcare is a human right and that everyone should have access to affordable, quality healthcare. One of the most well-known policies that Democrats have championed in the Affordable Care Act is the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. This law helped millions of Americans get healthcare insurance who didn't have it before, but Democrats are still pushing for more, ultimately hoping for a universal health care plan that would create a government-run healthcare system for everyone. Others back a public option, essentially a government insurance plan that would compete with private insurers and provide a more affordable option for those who need it. Of course, the opposition to this objective worries about cost overruns that could add to the national debt and to the federal budget and invariably higher taxes. I also want to add that the Democrats are also focused on lowering prescription drug costs as a part of their healthcare plan. Number 3, climate change and environmental justice. Let's move on to the climate change, which is a top priority for Democrats and the Democratic voters. Democrats believe that the climate change is an existential threat, and they argue that the government must take bold action to combat it. They are pushing for a transition to clean renewable energy like wind, solar, and electric vehicles. The Democratic platform supports rejoining international climate agreements like the Paris Accord and also investing in green technologies that reduce emissions while also creating jobs. The concept that you'll often hear from Democrats is environmental justice, and this refers to the idea that vulnerable communities, especially low-income as well as minority communities, often suffer the most from environmental pollution and climate disasters, and Democrats want to address this imbalance. It's important to note that ultimately climate change in the form of global warming, while a scientific fact, is a contentious issue, with people on both sides questioning our ability to favorably control the average global temperatures through human intervention at this stage of the game. Furthermore, since most of the pollution and emissions are now from developing countries, can reduction in the emissions by the established countries make any significant change in the long-term temperatures? That's also not very clear at this time. Either way, this is a complex but important topic that may require its own video probably at some point down the line. Number 4, social justice and equality. Social justice and equality are huge parts of the Democratic platform, as I mentioned in previous videos. Democrats focus on protecting and expanding the civil rights for everyone, including racial minorities, women, and the LGBTQ+ community. They support policies like expanding the protections against discrimination in the workplace, ensuring equal pay for equal work, and also safeguarding reproductive rights, including access to safe and legal abortion. Many Democrats are also pushing for criminal justice reform to address what they refer to as systemic racism. They want to end mass incarceration and reform policing practices that are currently present. They claim that they want a system that's fair and just for all people, regardless of their race or background. Number 5, immigration reform. Another key issue is immigration reform. Democrats believe in a comprehensive immigration system that includes a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants, especially dreamers who are migrants who were brought to the U.S. as children. Democrats are also calling for fair and more compassionate border policies that prioritize family unity and provides protections for asylum seekers and refugees. While they tend to say they support border security, they oppose extreme measures like family separation and large-scale deportations. To what extent they have lived up to this vision that they've basically set forth is debatable, I'm sure. Number 6, education. Finally, let's talk about education. This used to be the most pressing issue for the Democrats in my lifetime before they added a number of other topics that I mentioned just a little bit earlier. As someone who's been in higher education for the past 30 years, this is a topic that's really close to my heart as well. Democrats believe in expanding access to high-quality, affordable education from early childhood through college. They advocate for increasing funding for public schools, making community colleges tuition-free, and also expanding various grants, such as Pell Grants, for example, for students in need. Many Democrats are also calling for student debt relief by lowering the debt burden. Unfortunately, the critics say that this selective debt relief creates a two-tier system where college education is always rewarded, but vocational training is not. So this is really another point of contention. To sum it up, the Democratic Party platform is really built around the idea of creating a fairer and more just society. Equality, as I mentioned in the previous video, is a priority to the collective left, whether it's fighting for economic fairness, healthcare for all, combating the climate change, or also protecting civil rights. Democrats believe in using government action to address challenges facing Americans today. It's a platform that is primarily focused on empathy. These are only some of the issues that matter to the Democratic voters. If these values resonate with you, or if you want to learn more about specific policies, make sure you get involved locally and stay informed. Democracy works best when people participate, even if they cast a vote of no preference. As you'll see in the next video, the compassionate, equality-based set of policies proposed by the unconstrained philosophy of the Democrats stands in contrast to the constrained, individual liberty-based policies of the Republicans. That we're going to explore in the upcoming video. Okay, that's it for now, and thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful to you, well, don't forget to like, comment, and also subscribe for more content like this. See you all in the next video, and until then, let's all work together to save this country.